why should we care? I think we I think when we go to our origins and we look at it from a cosmic perspective, it helps us as humans understand why we came here, what we came here to do, and then how to maximize on this existence. How can we experience everything that this planet has to offer us in this incarnation?
What if I told you aliens are real and they're actually here to support you in remembering your soul? Today on the podcast, we have Twin Essence with Lacey and Marley, and we dive deep into the star beings, the star seeds of the world, and I am 100% sure you'll learn something new about yourself. But before we hop into the episode today, I would love to share with you that I'm launching a live workshop on July 22nd with Lexi Chang, Cosmic Identity Astrologer, and we're going to go over your 7 unique placements to creating magnetic content. We're going to be blending astrology and human design to help and support you in just showing up in the world, because gatekeeping your magic is keeping you stuck, it's keeping you invisible, and it's keeping you sad. So come join us. It's going to be so fun. The link is going to be in the show notes below. We currently have early bird pricing for $27, and then after the 16th, it's going to go up to $47. So highly recommend signing up today. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, today on the podcast, we have Twin Essence. We have Lacey and Marley here. Tell us what you do in the world.
I am Lacey, and I am the Lyran Starseed, half of Twin Essence. I was also born first. She had to add that in. She
Very
had to slide that in there. I am Marley. I am the Syrian Starseed, half of Twin Essence. Yeah, I was supposed to be born first. Maybe that's how this story starts. It starts with us switching at birth, which is true.
Whoa. Okay, so I was reading your human design charts and I was like, wait, they're different days. Like, you guys are literally different days, identical twins. And I'm also a twin, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that. Yeah.
Oh,
Fraternal, though, same day, 1 minute apart. So I was
dang,
just like, wow, you guys are really
that's
connected.
cool. Yeah,
So,
we did a little like flip flop in the womb. Marley was supposed to be the first one, and then we literally like moved in the womb. And I always do this symbol. If you watch the video of this, it's like yin and yang, because that's that's literally what it was like. And then I ended up being born first, and then we were 13 minutes apart, so we had separate birthdays, before midnight, after midnight. Um, but which is really really interesting, and I think a big part of like the allure to our cosmic origins and story.
yes, I love it. I want to, who holds more yin, who holds more yang? Or does it kind of constantly move?
So the cool thing about us and how we work is I feel like we really balance each other out.
Mhm.
So it's like where I might hold myself back, Lacey will push me, right? And just like when Lacey's holding herself back, I will push her. And so we kind of just constantly, it's like a hook and ladder. Like, we constantly go back and forth, and it allows us to balance everything out in a partnership in business, as sisters, in whatever it is that we're doing.
Okay, I love that. Twins are so, I mean, I am a twin, and every time I say that, everyone's like, are you guys psychics? Like, can you guys read each other's minds? And I was like, I'm literally the farthest away from any of that type with my twins specifically. So I would love to hear more about your guys' relationship and how you're bridging your unique gifts together and separately.
I love that, because we hated that question growing up. We always got asked it, and we hated it. We were like, that's not how it works. And now, and now, doing spiritual work, we're like, we're always connected. I feel like one of us could be traveling, and like we're very connected. So we do have like a great connection that way, where we will pick up on like thoughts from the other one, and then the other person will vocalize it, and it's like, wait a minute, I literally just thought that. So it's like, what came first? Was it the thought? Was it the person saying it? Who was picking it up? I don't know, but we're connected that way. So it is a really interesting dynamic, especially when we work in a spiritual capacity. Yeah, and not in the hopefully I can swear on this, not in the bullshit like,
Yes.
when she falls, do I feel it kind of way. Like, not that crap. Like like I feel like on the spectrum of twins and intuition and sensitivity, like, asking that question is the most third dimensional question you can ever ask. Like, let's be honest. But it's not like that. We yes, we are connected, but I also say, like, as we've developed our abilities, like, we do this with everybody in our family. Like, we're just in a room and I will be like, da 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 da, and they'll be like, whoa. And somebody in my family will be like, I was just thinking that. So I'm like, just to be clear, like, I don't think it's just us as twins. I think it is like naturally your gifts and how you pick things up. But I do think we have a really unique connection. Obviously, we chose to incarnate as identical twins, have different birthdays, switch at birth,
So great.
share a mission, you name it.
I honestly find that I was like double checked. I was like, did they put in the wrong date? And then I looked at the time. I was like, what in the actual fuck? That's crazy. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm just so excited to meet you guys because of that specifically. So I would love to hear more about the day that the star beings made contact with you.
I will start that because I was actually the first one they made contact with, so might have not been born first, but first one recognizing contact. We can get into it later, but that was so Lyran of her, by the way. Also very Syrian of me to be like, nah, swerve. Let's backseat
Yeah.
this for a minute. let's backseat my birth for 13 minutes. But I actually, when I first made contact with them, it was through a lucid dream experience. And, Lacey and I have always been open to ghosts and spirits. We were always interested in this from a young age. We were never afraid of anything except aliens, quote unquote. And so we were freaked out by aliens growing up, which is why it's so ironic doing what we do.
Oh yeah.
And in this lucid dream experience, I essentially an interdimensional being is what I thought it was, right? And it is. It came to me and I was like seeing this cat-like being and it was both a physical experience and a mental experience in a different state, right? And this being was like appearing in the reflection of my window in my bedroom. And I was like screaming for Lacey in my head, like, Lacey, like, you have to see this being in my window and it's not vanishing when I look at it like ghosts normally vanish. Um, and they're telling me like, go back to the dream, go back to the dream. Cause I'm like, getting excited and almost pulling myself out of it. And so it was this humanoid, part cat, part human being. And I was not afraid at all. Saying that out loud, you would think like that would be terrifying to see. I'm imagining the musical Cats, like to see like James Corden in a cat suit. Like, I never even saw that movie, but like just that image pops into my mind because that's kind of what it was like. But I wasn't scared at all, and I just knew, like I was like, there is something here, and I don't know what this is. And then it was a couple days later that Lacey then had an experience as well through a lucid dream. Yeah, I essentially a couple days later, I woke up at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., somewhere in there. And it was weird because I woke up, but I didn't open my eyes when I woke up in bed. And it was really dark. And I immediately, like, I felt a presence and I was like, someone's here. And I knew this is like what's strange about it. I knew if I looked and opened my eyes and looked at my window that I wouldn't be able to see it, but I knew if I rolled over and looked in my mirror across from the window, then I would see it.
Oh,
Even though it was standing by the window, I knew I'd see its reflection in the mirror. I don't know why. Um, so that's what I did. I rolled over and I looked in my mirror and there was this feline cat-like being standing in the mirror. It was kind of like a blue-white iridescent look, and it had on kind of what I would call an Egyptian headdress. It was smirking at me. It was amused. And it had like behind it and next to it were like these hieroglyphic, almost like ancient glowing symbols all around it. And it was just like watching me smirking, and I had like no reaction to this. I literally was like, I don't know what this is. Okay. And I just closed my eyes and went back to bed. Like I didn't even like try to engage with it. I wasn't scared, but I just didn't like I didn't have the capacity to like talk to it or try to figure anything out in the middle of the night. I just was like, guess I'm going to go back to sleep now, but I wasn't. The interesting part is I wasn't like my heart rate wasn't all jacked up and I wasn't like terrified by whatever's in my room. I just was kind of like, cool.
So then so I'm assuming you guys both shared the dreams with, or the lucid dreams with one another. So what was the next step for you to go and actually discover, well, what is this? Like, also, why am I not as scared of these or afraid of these? Scared, that's weird. Afraid of these beings.
That was the hard part, I think, because we didn't know where to start initially. And so I told the story to a spiritual friend of mine. And I was like, I don't know what this thing is, but we both saw one. And she was like, oh my God, it's a Lyran. It's a Lyran. Have you heard of this? Like, you need to Google a Lyran. Um, and so I Googled it. We Googled it. And there were like art depictions and AI depictions of these beings. And we were like, holy shit, that's what we were seeing. It was exactly like, I was like, that's what I saw. Like, are you? So it was like, it really opened like the gateway to like what are star seeds and what are we communicating with, because it really it enacted like a series of different like astral realm dream experience that I started to have during this time period. And it was like star seeds just were pushed to the forefront of whatever we were going through. Like it was like we went into a store and all of a sudden like a starseed book falls off the shelf and we're like, what? Starseed, like, I must have to get this book, right? Like, and people kept mentioning, like, Starseed, and like, I had people in the past say, like, well, you're definitely a Starseed. And at the time, it meant I didn't feel drawn to it. I was like, I don't know what that means. But people kept mentioning it to us. So we were like, whatever this Starseed thing is, we need to, like, figure out what it is because it feels related to these beings that are making contact. And so we started to like do some Googling. I would say the internet was not cutting it for us. Like we read a couple different books. Like
The
we
TikTok
had
conspiracies.
it wasn't our vibe. Like the people out there talking about these beings were not the vibe for the two of us. It just didn't feel resonant. And so we read books. There was one that, like we just said, literally jumped off a shelf in a bookstore that we were like, I don't know what this is, but we're gonna read it. And that helped give us some of like the background on like different types of beings, what a starseed is. Starseeds being individuals who have incarnations outside of Earth, so on star systems, galaxies, other planets. And then the term star being came later as we started to actually have more like channeled experiences with them, because one of the things that was brought through when we started to make contact, or I should say when they made contact with us and we started channeling them, was don't call us aliens. They were like, do not call us aliens. Alien is a very like fear-based term in society and in the collective. And they knew we were terrified of aliens growing up. So they were like, call us star beings. So that's kind of like where we took that terminology and ran with it. Yeah.
Okay, I actually went to contrast therapy today, and the girl's like so sweet. She's so young, and she's like, well, "What are you doing today?" I was like, "Oh, I have 2 podcasts that I'm recording." She's like, "Oh my god, that's so exciting! What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh, like ancient technology and aliens." And then she's like, "Oh," and then immediately ran away.
We
Immediately
contracted. You could
away.
feel it.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So that actually brings me to a great question. What or to my next question. Maybe it's a great question, probably not. And it's what is a star being, a star seed, and why should we care?
Mm. Well, okay. So a star seed, we as the human souls on Earth are the star seeds. The star being, those are the individuals we are channeling out there in other dimensions. They're the ones that have planted us here, right? We're the seeds, the humans on Earth. And it's this idea that as we've channeled that humanity was not created by a man with a white beard in the sky. We are
What?
all what? I just blew
Spoiler
your
alert!
mind. Setting the tone for the conversation right now.
Yeah.
um, but it's this idea that like, yes, like we are all fragments of source, but these higher dimensional beings from other star systems, other planets, other galaxies came together and created Earth and created humans and planted us all as seeds here as parts of source that are experiencing the wholeness of source, which includes duality. So it's going to be the light and the dark. And it's the great experimentation of integration, of how can we integrate on Earth as a collective, as an individual, for ascension to return to source. But to integrate from 3D, third dimension, third density, to all the way to like a 5D, fifth density, fifth dimension. So starting out at that 3D and how we move beyond that and integrate. So, like, I think when you say, like, why should we care? I think we I think when we go to our origins and we look at it from a cosmic perspective, it helps us as humans understand why we came here, what we came here to do, and then how to maximize on this existence, honestly. Because it's not about choosing light over dark. You don't want to choose one extreme or the other. It's really about that wholeness and how can we experience everything that this planet has to offer us in this incarnation.
I love that, and I would love to hear a bit more on, I think, what how are you describing this bridge between 3D into the 5D? So more information on, like, what is the 3 obviously, the 3D is right here where we live. What is how do we extend into the 5D? And what is the 5D?
Oh, that's perfect. So that kind of like relates to our mission as well, because we have like three elements to our mission. We have like our own individual healing paths, and then we have the individual work that we do with clients, like one-to-one work with women, which is all about uncovering their starseed lineage and their origins and connecting them to their mission and purpose so that they can create the desired reality that they
Love
would like to and to ultimately ascend. But then the collective part of it is about bridging the 3D and 5D and paving a collective ascension pathway, which sounds really big and it sounds full of jargon, but essentially, like 3D, like you said, is everything we are experiencing on Earth. It's all the physicality of being in this third density, everything you see, touch, taste, feel, smell. And then when you move into a fifth density, I kind of just skip over 4D because like that's just one part of it. 5D is really where you're going.
it. Perfect.
and and 5D is more of the it's where we're more integrated as a collective. So this is going to be where we're more connected to our own inner power and source. The veil to other dimensions, other like spiritual connections is much thinner because of how we self-source now and our
Mhm,
own like connections to this other I don't know what to call it, like other side, other world. And it's more about unity consciousness, like forgiveness and these values of interconnectedness that we don't have in the 3D.
mhm,
Now, we can get into the duality of it all. Like we need the duality in the 3D in order to learn and grow and evolve. Like duality doesn't disappear
mhm.
when we move to the 5D, but our relationship to it changes.
Mm.
So I think that's the big misconception is there are a lot of which is why I should say this is why we didn't resonate with a lot of the individuals out there talking about star seeds or star beings and ascension is there's a lot of like preaching of like transcending all these things and just choose the light, just stay positive and kill the ego and like all these
So
like,
aggressive.
these things that kind of, like, shame us for our own humanity, and the thing is, when we ascend and move into a 5D, that doesn't mean we're leaving our physical bodies because there'd be no Earth if we all left our physical bodies, and
Mhm,
that doesn't mean that duality goes away. It just means that we are more self-sourced, and we have different connections and healing work that we've done and completed to not have this antagonistic relationship with duality. And we have more understanding for other people, for different viewpoints and belief systems.
mhm,
And it's not like what's the word? It's not a negative thing. It's not a bad thing. You just aren't as impacted and sucked into the duality of it all.
mhm,
Yeah. I mean, it's understand like that's what we call understanding. It's understanding the role that we are playing on Earth just as much as we're understanding the role others play on Earth. Doesn't mean I have to agree with everybody's values, but I understand the role it plays. Therefore, I know my part in it and their part in it, and I'm okay. I can integrate that.
okay. I love that. So, I guess as an example of your personal lives and personal stories. So, from human design, you guys are 6 lines. So, you guys are all about the learning. You're still in the experimental phase. So, I'm
Don't
sure.
we know it?
Yeah, yeah. You're about to be more into like the integration phase here after you turn 30. I'm really curious to hear more about how you are bridging the 3D to the 5D right now.
Oh, I love this. I love this question because one of our unique talents with our journey and curriculum is the fact that we went through all of our spiritual awakening and our starseed awakenings while working in government during day jobs.
So great.
So, which is like wild, and we still work in
We still
government.
do.
We
Yeah.
still serve and work in government, and I would say, as much as I sometimes am kind of like and grumble about it, that has been probably one of the most transformational experiences in our both for both of us in our journeys, because it has taught us a ton about integration and ascension and learning to like connect to one's multidimensionality and not having to choose one or the other.
Mm,
Because that was like a really big learning curve in the beginning of our journeys where it just felt very like one or the other. You can't do both.
mhm.
Um, so I would say like that was one of the first lessons we learned with our own multidimensionality is because I work in public health. I in the beginning was very distraught over like I do all these things that are over here, and how can I also be channeling these beings and doing the spiritual work, because they seem like very opposite things. But I realized like I didn't need to choose. I can do both and I can hold both. I don't need to beat myself up over one identity over another, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's one way I've kind of been able to integrate that ascension piece with the multidimensionality. Yeah, like, and me too. I would say like the public sector career is a big part of that. Like, um, I work in HR. I specifically primarily support law enforcement. And so, as you can imagine, like male dominated industry who is tends to be, it tends to be pretty black and white in how they work or how they do things. And here I am, just this little multidimensional being who's like struggling, right? Like struggling to figure out how to exist in both of the roles I play, if that makes sense. And that was something I had to figure out and learn how to cope with. I had to learn how to not how do I say it? Like not allow myself to dull myself maybe, or like shrink, or like it's a lot of figuring out how I can show up in my higher consciousness and how I can change those around me with it. I'll put it that way. And
Nice.
so how I can influence those around me energetically, I would say. I mean, obviously sometimes it's very directly, sometimes it's more indirect,
Right.
so that I can continue to see progress being made in the public sector. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. When I did yoga teacher training when I was in my corporate job, and I was like, how can I go into corporate where no one is like even online to themselves while I'm practicing yoga? I mean, different but same. And I love I don't think at that time, I think I was 27 at that time. There's no way I would have understood the duality piece of like, it's okay to be both and it's okay to hold both. Like, you doing the work here in yoga is actually the work that you get to do out in the world. And you being in that frequency, you inherently are uplifting the collective frequency. So I love that you guys are already, aware of doing. Are you guys planning on staying in government and in that sector and having like 9 to 5 jobs? Out of curiosity.
I have no idea.
Okay,
That's
TBD to be determined.
I would say this year will be like a really big shakeup. Just because I'm
Lacey has
already
more shakeup happening than
yeah.
me, I would say.
Well, if I've learned anything about ascension and multidimensionality, it's a lot in the last, well, this is the second year, but I would say when the administration changed,
Mm,
um, and the trickle down from the federal level to the state level, like I've experienced a lot and I've observed a lot, and it's taught me a ton about disclosure and multidimensionality. So we will see where I land, but it's undetermined right now. Like it's all up in the air, and I am not asking for any hints on what's to come. I was like, I learned last year that I learned a lot about resiliency last year, and I was like, you know what? Like I'm always going to be okay no matter what, and it's all just part of the path, and just do what you need to do. Like
100%. It's always gonna reveal itself to you. So I would love to hear more about your individual missions here as your own star seeds. So yeah, Starseeds. Before we hop into that, though, actually, so did the star beings bring starseeds to Earth to raise the collective consciousness of it because they saw a downfall of it, or what? Do you know the origin story of why the star beings put us
Oh,
here?
yeah. Yeah, Earth's Inception.
Yes.
We have a podcast episode about this. Earth's Inception. They created Earth and then planted their seeds here, but it wasn't because like the planet was in an awful state. Like they wanted to see if they could take consciousness at a third density level, so that 3D level, and see how they could grow and evolve and potentially ascend to a different density. So, and that's really Project Earth, like in a
Yeah.
nutshell. And I would say too, like part of the motivation for Project Earth is the idea that on these different stars and these different planets, what we saw multiple races, if you will, or types of star beings not integrating, not returning to source. So not being able to balance to return to source. And so as those combustions were happening, we keep seeing like groups flee to another star, and then another race is born, and another, right? And it kind of branches off until the galactic founders come together and say, let's create this at a different level, a 3D level, a lower level, because it's not working up here. We're combusting, it's not working up here, so we're going to bring it down here and we're going to create Project Earth. And so that's kind of that's how we've received and how they explain it to us in a way that we can understand. It's a little bit linear sounding at times, but that's because it's how we can make sense of it as humans.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So for people who I don't know what Project Earth is. So would you I'm
Yeah,
a basic baby here.
no,
Tell
it's
me more
fine.
about Project Earth.
Yeah, so Project Earth is more about how we can move from that third density to a 5D. So it's more about integration of all polarities. So we always describe polarity as a spectrum. So like positive on one end, negative on the other. How can we take both those ends and bring them to a more integrated balance point? The idea is that the souls on Earth will essentially be able to move to a different density. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they want everyone to be able to go back to source eventually. Once they've reached a certain level, I don't really know what to call the level, but it's like once you reach a certain level of consciousness, you would just go back to source and be a part of source, because we were all one in source before we all like split off as little fragments from source.
Okay.
So
So
I
the
mean,
goal is to get our all the fragments back to source. And
eventually
we are
one day.
fragments. Okay, we are just fragments.
Yeah, yeah.
Star beings are fragments. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And it may, I just want to put this out there. This may never happen. And the reason I say this is not out of like a failure for humanity, but because the earthly existence, as dense as it can be sometimes, it's so alluring as a soul. Because think of how much you experience that if you had the opportunity of, do you want to go back and do it again? Like our soul's going to say yes, probably going to say yes again. I want to go back again. Put me back again. I'll take this incarnation. I'll take this assignment. So it's an interesting, it's an interesting way to, I think, view our consciousness and to view our incarnations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, because there's can't we reincarnate? We can be human souls here and then reincarnate out of it, and just we're done with Earth.
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
decide.
just like I can be like, I don't want it, like if, it's all happening at once, but I probably have multiple other galactic lifetimes happening right now where I was like, my soul was like, I don't want to go back to being a human. I want to be up here. Right.
I love it. Okay, well then that brings me to what star beings are you, and what is the mission that you individually are here to bring forth?
It's a good question.
Whoever wants to start first.
Yeah, so I'm a Lyran Starseed, and so how I've received the information, because actually in the beginning of our journeys, we both thought we were Lyran Starseeds. We were like, well, we're twins, so we must be the same. Um, but then we were having like different experiences with different beings, and more and more of it was essentially revealed as we like connected with them more and channeled. And I'm a Lyran Starseed, so I come from Lyra. Um, my planet was in a war with a different planet, which ultimately led me to flee, which is where I met Marley on Sirius, which is why we have a close connection and incarnated together. but I'm more I feel like I should give, like, the traits too as a Lyran.
Yes.
I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
please
helps.
do. Share that.
But as a Lyran, like, I would say it's more about leadership. It can be very like, Lyrans can be very, very bold. Um, so, like, I often am, like, the louder one of Marley and I. Um, they're not without trying to be, I just am, I don't know. So it's more of that, like, boldness, the natural leadership. We can be really, really stubborn. We can struggle a bit with, like, vulnerability and showing vulnerability to other people, but ultimately we are very, very, strong. Like, I know I was the person growing up that would stand up for myself and other people, and Marley, like, I would tell people off all the time. I was not afraid of confrontation, which is part of the, like, the Lyran warrior energy in
Yeah,
me. I
like,
was just not afraid of it. Lyrans are, like, natural leaders too. So, like, it's very common to see, like, Lyrans stepping into leadership outwardly. Obviously, there's a ton of other types of starseeds that also lead, but Lyrans are pretty expressed in their leadership.
well, I don't know if you guys know this, but your core gift in human design is leadership.
Ooh,
It really
I'm
like,
not
it's
surprised.
80% or 70% of your design is in your conscious sun of leadership, and it's about leading with the people, not leadership from, like, above. It's like, how do we lead the people there? It's like your major life theme. So I just
And
love that
then
you got that through.
that
I
makes
love
so much
that.
sense. I
Mhm.
love that because we don't, like, we're always like, we never wanna be the guru. We're like,
No.
that's not us. Like, um, but yeah, so my mission, I've done a lot of different things as part of my individual mission. Um, I would say that my day job is part of my individual mission as well. I've been told that I collect information on the status of human consciousness at this, like, government level, and then I, like, take that information back when I'm in, like, dream state and astral realm. Especially in the early days, I would get
Oh,
more tired at night. Um, so that's definitely something that I've channeled before and received about my own individual mission. Yeah, and then I am the Syrian starseed part of Twin Essence. So as a Syrian starseed, I'm from Sirius. Sirius, I should say Syrian beings, they are going to be like your blue beings. I should say that too, actually, like, because we always see star beings in colors, usually when we first make contact. So, like, Lacey's Lyran incarnation was very pink.
mm,
Um,
pretty.
or and it was very, like, our colors have always been pink and blue growing up, so it made perfect sense that Lacey was pink, I was blue, like, Syrians are blue, more connected to, like, ocean animals too, and, like, Atlantis, so, like, that tract, I had, like a whale spirit animal.
Oh,
But
cool.
as a Syrian starseed, Syrians are more like I describe them as like the wise elder. Like they are going to be strategic, they're more analytical, they're more logical. They're going to be I always describe Lacey and I as like the Syrian is going to be the one drawing out the map for battle, and the Lyran's going to be the one at the front line being like, charge.
We need that
Um
though. Like, that's perfect. Love.
and so like it's more like I would say like like a Syrian, like we're still going to be leaders, but I feel like how we approach leadership is different than how a Lyran would. Like it's still there, but maybe it's not as bold, it's more thought out, it's more planned, it's more strategic. Um, and then from my own experiences in mission, like I mean, obviously my public sector role and curriculum relates directly to me being a Syrian starseed, but I have a lot of like confidential investigative type work that I do in other realms. And so that was something I experienced pretty early on as well in my awakening. I started to see a lot of half animal, half human beings in these different realms, which is something often associated with Sirius and Syrian beings. And in my experiences, I was like going into this is gonna sound creepy, but people's bedrooms at night. And a lot of it was actually kids, and it had to do with like my understanding is it had to relate to like souls that are like waking up and the timing of when they're waking up, and is it too soon or is it the right time, and when's the appropriate time in order for them to awaken to this so that they are able to still be successful in their human incarnation. And so I would see myself like going into these bedrooms and I would start talking to agents, is what I describe them as. Like they're like half animal, half human agents wearing suits. I swear to God, it's one of them is Ra. Like I swear one of them is Ra. Like it very much is like the Falcon head in a suit. And like I will consult them. Like I'll be like asking them questions with the clipboard, like talking about like this boy and like, and so that's something that I directly relate to, like whether I'm conscious of it or not, that is occurring in an astral realm. It's very Men in Black. Like that's what it always
Yes.
reminds me of. And Marley's like Syrian, like Star Family always speak in like government terms.
Yes.
Like they're like confidential, classified. Like they
Yes.
use these like weird, like kind of like government language. It makes a
Um,
lot of sense, like with what I do and like who I work with, that like that relates. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff where they're like, you can obtain clearance when you're putting in this intention and work. And I'm like, can Lacey get clearance? And it's like, you might talk too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I love you guys are getting trolled. I love it so much. It's so I've heard you can have like a primary star being and then you can have like multiple other ones. Is that true? How does that work? Tell me a little bit more about
absolutely. That I would say that's spot on to how Lacey and I work. So that is, that's the primary thing that we're doing with one-to-one with women. We're connecting them to their dominant starseed lineage. And then yes, it's possible that you have other, like, it's almost like we were making a joke the other day. I'm like, when did our work evolve into like 23andMe starseeds?
Wait, that's so good. Wait, that's so good.
And so, like, I think I just said that this morning, actually. I was like, now I'm like, because it's like how like, there's always a dominant lineage we will connect you with. And so that dominant lineage is going to be what's influencing this incarnation most heavily, right? But there's also like secondary aspects of you, and you're going to have other guides. Like it's possible you've had lifetimes on multiple planets, all of the planets. You're going to have guides from different origins that you'll work with, and they'll help you with different things. So every time somebody comes to us and they're like, but I really thought I was Pleiadian. I'm like, okay, Pleiadians, like, they're reaching out to like every human. So like we all have a Pleiadian guide. um, like there definitely could be an aspect of you or a guide that's coming through this Pleiadian, but what is your dominant lineage that's influencing this incarnation? That's what we're helping you navigate. And then those different secondary aspects will get expressed in different ways. And so for Lacey and I, like, honestly, I'm just like, I'm Syrian. Like, I don't, for myself, break down into other aspects. But like when we work with clients, I would say more and more now we'll be like, oh, you're Lyran, but like you have a Pleiadian aspect that comes through in this way, right? Or like even if we're working with them, like we can tell like you're Arcturian, but right now you're getting like rubbed by your Orion aspect. Like you can just kind of tell. Like or we have that a lot where it'll be like a Pleiadian hybrid or an Andromedan hybrid or Orion Mintonkin.
Yeah.
It's not like you'll have different guides, and I think it's helpful for people to understand that because it's not always just one thing.
So if you're a dominant Syrian, dominant Lyran, that is your specific mission here in this earth.
I would say that's our cosmic makeup. Like that's our cosmic DNA. That's our cosmic. I don't want to call it an archetype, but it kind of is like an archetype.
Okay.
We see the different patterns in the different starseed types and like the different ways certain types might like self-sabotage or what like I'm not going to struggle with what a Palladian struggles with as a Lyran. Like there's different dominant aspects and traits that we kind of like bring with us as part of our cosmic DNA that can help us with understanding like alignment too. So like for example, I was just talking to her, we had a Zeta client and that was struggling with like comparing herself to others and feeling like she needed to pick the one thing and like to be successful and I was like, but this is the thing, your cosmic DNA isn't made to pick one thing. Like, you're a Zeta. You're not going to choose sides. You're the anchor of neutrality. Like, so you need to stop falling into 3D programming of beating yourself up over comparing yourself to other people. And understand that you don't need to choose one or the other. You're not meant to choose one thing. So it's kind of like, that's just an example of like the ways we can create alignment as it relates to your cosmic DNA.
I love that you're yeah, I love that you're actually bridging like the 5D into the 3D because like we our brains actually have to have practical like uses for it or it's like, okay, that's great to know, whatever, bye. So I want to hear more about like what are the like the most common ones that you're coming across, obviously Pleiadian. Why are they trying to input themselves here?
Palladians. I feel like Syrians and Palladians always like rub each other. We do. Well, okay, it's because like I know it's because Lacey and I work with other Syrian starseeds, and they're always like they get like they'll be like, I don't understand these Palladians, and I'll be like, okay, like let's take a breath here. Like Palladians are quite different. Like I am not gonna be like talking smack about Palladians, but like I joke because I'm like Palladians are like very, very, very closely connected to Earth and very closely connected to humans. And so they're oftentimes one of the first types of beings that will make contact with humans on their journeys because they are so like white and angelic and radiant. They get confused with angels. So they're a very comfortable star being to make contact with. And they can appear as the Nordics. If you ever hear people talk about the Nordics, that's really a Palladian.
It is.
So like they're less intimidating as a star being to come into contact with. So oftentimes, yeah, that can be someone's first exposure. If they're going to be more fear-based and have more 3D programming, they might feel more comfortable coming into contact with a Palladian first than a cat-like being or a blue being or a half-animal being. Yeah. And like generally when we talk about like the most common starseed types that we find on Earth or that we interact with, usually like Lacey and I talk about the galactic founder umbrella, and that's like 7 types of star beings. We consider them founders. Founders as in they were the ones that got together and said, let's create Earth and let's create humans. And then we have like what we call niche starseed types, and those are just basically more unique types that aren't the founders necessarily. So those are going to be like Alpha Centaurians, Hadarians, Maldikians. They're more like Cygnus, Nihals, Regulus, like those like other stars. But like galactic founders, that's going to be Lyran, Sirian, Palladian, Andromedan, Orion, Arcturian, and Zeta. That's the 7. And so those galactic founders are oftentimes the most common, I would say, that we see.
Okay, what about Mintakan? That's the other one I ever heard.
Yep. So
Orion
Mintakan is
founder. Oh, sorry. Niche founders.
Orion, I don't know. Orion falls into a weird spot because they're not really niche, but I don't really know if they're a founder. Like they're included. Some people consider them as founders. Yeah, we kind of do because Orion like was such a like combustion in the story of polarities that like you always hear like Orion light warriors, and it's because they're very Orions are rebels. They are strong-willed. They are like they're very convicted in their beliefs. Mintakan is like a more specific aspect within Orion. It's a star. Mintakan is a star within Orion, and so like usually at that aspect, like we look at it as like, okay, you're Orion, and then we can zoom in further. Like, okay, so the Mintakan aspect is going to be more towards like a divine feminine energy. Usually, it's going to be more positively polarized. It's a lighter, like it comes through in a lighter color energetically, and Mintakans are usually like oceanic. And so sometimes Mintakans can get confused with Syrians, but they're different energetically. If that makes sense.
No, it does. Okay, so I would love if you could break down the 7 founders, and just like list a few traits so people can be like, oh, maybe I'm this or that. Would be awesome.
Yeah. So we did talk about Lyran and Syrian already. I'll just do a quick recap. Lyran, leaders, brave, bold, courageous, gonna be stubborn at times, but naturally they're always gonna step into the limelight and they're gonna be able to carry forward a vision. Syrians, they are the wise elders. They're gonna be strategic, analytical, logical. They can struggle. They can struggle with getting stuck in their head a little bit more. and trying to like fit things into something versus allowing themselves to flow a little bit more and releasing control a little bit. Then we have Arcturians. So Arcturians are going to be more of a gentler energy. We typically see Arcturians taking on traditional and non-traditional healing modalities. So it's going to be like, you could think of it as like modern medicine of like nurse, doctor, like chiropractor, like that kind of traditional, or you can think of it as non-traditional and think of it more as like Reiki, energy healing, crystal work. So Arcturians are going to be the safe place for people to land. You'll find them being a source of like everyone confides in them.
Okay.
And they're a more blue energy. It's a little bit lighter. They're very calming. Andromedans, we're gonna say about I was just gonna say they're also transitionary, so very much light at the end of the tunnel. So oftentimes when they're working with people, think of it as helping people through transitions. So transitions like death, maybe divorce, marriage, career changes, health changes, like any kind of transition. Andromedans, we love an Andromedan. Andromedans, we always say they are like the life of the party.
They are.
Like an Andromedan is a deeper blue energy. Andromedans are like fast paced. They are the social butterfly. Like everyone loves them at an event.
Innovative, very innovative,
technologically driven. We like to call them very, very eccentric, and they are all about self-expression. So I always say with an Andromedan, think red cowboy boots, think Lady Gaga meat dress, think like the eccentric, like bold moves. Like that is going to be your Andromedan.
Love that. I have some red cowboy boots, so
you might have that might be a sneak peek for what's to come later this week. So yeah. So what are we going through? 4 of them. Okay, let's do Pleiadian. We talked about Pleiadian.
Yep. Pleiadians. Don't forget the Pleiadians. They're trying to be.
Yeah, don't forget about them. No, they are your gentle Earth. Very like love Earth. They're very into like conservation. Like they are the people who are going to be at the protest, believing in a cause, completely and fully committed to the cause. They are love plants, love animals, love plants, love humanity. They're obsessed with the interconnection of all living things. And they're very sensitive. So they are going to be like offended if someone litters. They are going to be more they're just more like sensitive to like comments and actions of empathic, other people. Very empathic. Okay. And then I think we still have Orion and Zeta, right? Yep, Orion rebels. I always say, like, when I connect to Orion, it's like immediately I can hear Joan Jett say, "I don't give a damn about my bad reputation," in the back of my head. That's an Orion. An Orion is like they're strong-willed, like I said earlier, strong-willed. They are like they will go against the grain. They can struggle with sharing emotions, and so they can struggle to open up to people. So that's often a growth edge we see with Orions. I always want to say, think of Kat Stratford from 10 Things I Hate About You. Yes. Like that's an Orion. Like to a T. Yes. And then Zetas are going to be, they're very, very different energetically. Yeah. Zetas are more of that ambivalent, neutral being. So I'm trying to think of a good example of like how to like describe Zeta traits. Like they are sensitive and empathic, but they're not delicate. Okay. Like they're very sensible. Yes. Like and level-headed about things. They're not going to they're practical. They're not reactive in emotions. They're very like grounded in that. And they're balanced. They're very balanced, which is why like cuz Zetas, also known as the Greys, we always say Zetas make headlines like no other star being as it relates to disclosure. But they're genetic engineers and they experiment and they're explorers. They get a bad rep because they are associated with fear because of the abduction piece to disclosure. And in reality, they use fear to push humanity forward into that ascension process, into the awakening. Because as I think all of us here know, and even those who are probably listening, oftentimes we need trauma or something to happen to push us to awaken or push us to see something differently.
Why does that have to be the case? But it's very true. It's so true. So from a human design perspective, we have 5 energy types and they're all here to have specific roles in this world, right? So the more that we are in our unique authenticity, the more that we're going to be in our purest form of essence and on our soul path. So I'm curious, is there a relationship to all of the star beings having their specific roles and like working together, or are they just here with their own separate missions, just trying to like, or is the mission just Project Earth? Or how
I
does
think
it
they
work?
all have different missions and roles in like the project of Earth, but I do think it all like works together.
Yeah.
So, and I mean this even with
I knew you were just gonna say that.
reptilians and draconians. Yeah, I'm gonna go there. Um, like because those two get a really they are very polarizing online. There's a lot of strong opinions about that, and we have hot takes on it. But the point, I think they all work together in some way, but they have unique roles and missions when they come to Earth. Like you're going to see. I'm trying to think of an example. Like you're more likely to see an Arcturian doing like Reiki on Earth and that type of healing modality than you are going to see a Lyran. Like a Lyran's going to be leading in a different type of way for Ascension. So like they have their own unique ways of doing it, but it does all like
Feed into a
correlate. I think it does feed into like a big collective mission overall, but they all have different ways that is like grounding down. Like just like when we just talked about Zetas using fear and Zetas doing genetic engineering, a lot of that has to do with their own experimentation for their own race. Um, but then like and like even bringing up the reptilians and draconians, like they're on the negative side of the polarity spectrum, but they're so needed for Ascension.
Yeah.
If we were all just hanging out as positive polarities, heaven on earth, there'd be like literally no point in existing.
Okay, yes, absolutely. Okay, love that. And as far you guys keep talking about making contact. So for someone who is just tapping into star being, starting to understand who they are from a cosmic realm, 5D, and they might have had otherworldly experiences, what are those type of experience that people can be like where are they meeting us? Like dreams in the world, visions? Yeah. I'll let you guys
I
take it
mean, everywhere. Literally everywhere. I so You can I think in the beginning, it's easier in, like, a dream state to have dreams. I think if you meditate or you channel, it might be a little bit easier to come into contact that way, but you will have experiences in the outside world with them. It's no different than having, like, a relationship with a spirit guide or a past loved one. You can ask for the signs and messages from your star family and receive them. I cannot tell you how many breadcrumbs I had uncovered leading up to understanding I was a Lyran, to the point of, like, looking back on certain things, I was like, "Oh my god, that was related to Lyrans, and I didn't realize it at the time." Like, I read a book series with the main female character being named Lyra. Like, tell give me a sign or sign, and, like, I picked up a pen one day that literally said Lyra on it. Like, so, like, they have ways of reaching you in the 3D as well, it's just about being open to it like it is with any s sign from spirit.
Okay, one experience I had, I don't know, maybe it was Christy from Messenger of Spirits was talking about her being a Syrian or one of those things, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what I am," and so I'm doing this research, and I'm like, "Oh, I took some quiz," and they're like, "Oh, you're a Syrian," and I was like, "Am I?" And I'm like, "Blah, blah, blah," and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna have, like, marks on your body or something," I don't know. I get up from my computer, I go to the bathroom, and I have a broken eye vessel in my eye in the shape of a heart. I have never had a broken eye vessel in my eye, ever. And in that,
Mm.
I was like, "There's something to this whole thing here." Anyways, I was like, "I'm a believer." It's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the people we've had clients where they're like, "I woke up one day and there was a triangle on my back."
Yeah. Wait,
And I was
what?
like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's your Pleiadian like, that's your Pleiadian star family."
Wait, like a scar of a triangle or like
It was like a triangle imprint pressed into the back, but, like, I mean, that's as much detail as I can give on it, like, but I'm just saying, like, my point is it it well, and even, like,
or
you know
birthmarks?
what,
Like, they'll be like, "I
birthmarks?
have the
We
Orion constellation as a
Yes,
birthmark."
we have those, we have a client that has that, we also like, I've thought about, like, we've also connected people where it's like, when we're connecting them with their star family, it's like you can't make up some of the stuff that comes through, but, like, I remember the one where we were, like, telling her, like, "Yeah, there's, like, some trinket, blah, 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 like a body of water." She was Mintonkin. And then it was, like, after we sent that it was, like, a pre-recorded thing. She
Yeah.
was like, "Look at this, metal scrying bowl I found at the basin of the ocean with my son on a walk." And we were like, "Oh, like, damn, like, they really know how to work fast, like, on this stuff."
Oh my god. That's crazy. So as far as, working with you guys and starting to understand, you guys can go to Lacey and Marley for these readings. So once someone receives a reading from you and understands their star being, starseed mission, what can they do next? Like, what opens up for them once they know this type of information?
Oh man, I just wanna quote Thoth and be like, "The infinite potential of the universe." I was having conversations with Thoth this week, and I'm like, gosh, everything he says is a riddle, but it's so wise. Um, but yeah, like, this is like the initiation, right? It's going to unlock some things in you, and this is what we call the remembrance.
Mhm.
Like, it is really a remembering. Like, you are going to feel more at home in yourself. You're going to understand yourself differently. You will view the world very differently from the lens of this cosmic origins. And and that's just the first step, is like understanding one's starseed lineage and then mission and purpose. The hard work that like goes much deeper on the journey is about digging into the 3D programming and your own alignment pieces and
Mm,
your own ascension journey, because we always say ascension is not a one size fits all approach. So what works for someone else isn't going to necessarily work for you. It's a
mhm.
personalized journey. It's something you work with your star family. Um, and we offer mentorship for those reasons, of to understand your programming and how to move through belief systems and where you're holding yourself back, how to create the alignment, how to co-create in a deeper state with your star family. I would say too, like, it's similar to like human design or astrology. Like, your starseed lineage is another tool, right? Another modality to understand yourself and your mission and your alignment and your path. And like, that's how Lacey and I see people and see the world, right? Like, we see everyone through the lens of their starseed lineage, whether they're conscious of it or not, while some people might see people through astrology or see people through human design, right? And I just want to add into, like, because when we work with people, some people are having galactic or star being experiences, and that's why they're drawn to work with us. And so it's kind of them like reconciling the fact that these beings are coming to them and they have to acknowledge it, like, you can't ignore it anymore. And then the other side of the spectrum is almost like it provides a level of clarity that maybe someone's looking for, and this is like one modality that can unlock that. I like when Lacey and I had gone through our Starseed awakenings and discovered our lineages, and then like working with the channeling and understanding more about our mission and what we came here to do. Like, we didn't know that what we were like the way we were doing it, like, we didn't know there was anything wrong, right, with what we were doing, but it like clicked something in place and anchored into us when we made that connection of like, it was just like, whoa, this is it. This is what I'm here to do. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing before, but this is more in alignment, and this is the greater picture of what I'm here to do. I just described this yesterday to somebody. It's like, it's almost like I was wearing shoes that were too small. Like, they did the job, they looked good. I liked them, but then all of a sudden there was this completely different pair of shoes I put on, and it was like every like, they fit way better, they looked way better, and they transformed my life, and I didn't even know that that other pair of shoes existed until I discovered it.
Oh my god, it's so true though. You don't know what you don't know. So I would love to also hear more about the disclosure. You keep mentioning this disclosure piece, and then we'll start wrapping it up.
Yeah. So disclosure, I think this is like a fun topic that gets greatly misunderstood in the collective. Because when we actually host Starseed disclosure discussions on our YouTube channel that are live, they're not quite every month. It's like when we receive the disclosure messages, then we do them. Um, but they're essentially like disclosure refers to essentially the day that these beings make physical contact on Earth. So when people talk about disclosure or Disclosure Day, which is the new Steven Spielberg movie, it's ironically coming out, which I cannot wait to see. Just to see how he depicts it. I'm curious. But it's essentially referring to the day that it's disclosed that these beings have always been a part of our existence and are now making like physical contact, showing themselves to the world in a very public way. And like it's being disclosed that it's not something to be afraid of. Like there's so much mass panic and fear in the collective around the word alien. In reality, have you actually connected with an alien? How do you know it's negative? Just because we grew up watching Signs with Mel Gibson does not mean that that's actually what they're like. And so it's just, there's just this idea of like, how can we continue to discern on our own and decide for ourselves and not let one person's view or agenda be pushed onto us, especially as it relates to like governments and leaders, right? Who often influence the collective to feel a certain way. And the reality is when they make contact, it shouldn't be this thing. It's part of us. It's more a part of us than it is external to us. Yeah. So we bring the collective messages forward to help people understand disclosure itself, but also Earth's ascension process. Disclosure is part of that. And we're at a pivotal moment in Earth's history where we are moving way deeper and closer to disclosure than we ever have been before. We have UAP and UFO files being released and being made declassified and made public. We have people coming forward with their experiences that they've never talked about for years. We have more people having sightings of these beings, sightings of crafts. Like this is all part of Earth's collective ascension process and disclosure itself. So the leaders, the things that are happening globally with people that are in power, you can get really upset about it, or you can take a step back and view it from a higher consciousness and understand, okay, what is this person actually doing for Earth? And that's what those calls are about. That's what disclosure is for us.
Yeah. Fascinating. Whoa. So if someone were to come into contact with an alien, a star being, what is one thing that they can do to either be open enough and curious enough to receive, or to continue a relationship and start building a relationship with them in a way where they're like, okay, I'm open to receiving.
Yeah, I think so. I think the first thing with making contact is like be open and be curious because I mean, you can tell pretty fast in your gut, like, should I be afraid or should I not be afraid? Most of the time, it's really not something negative. And even when you connect with something darker, um, like, think about what that's teaching you or like why that may be coming up. So, like, Lacey and I learned this very on because we have paranormal origins and there's a lot of dark entities in the paranormal. But it's like instead of flipping out and giving into fear right away, like, think about what the experience taught you. Maybe it's actually teaching you about your sovereignty, your ability to control and decide how you want to let something influence your energy or how you want to use your own energy. And then I think after that initial contact's made, like, you can revisit that, like setting the intention. I mean, you could even do QHHT, right? And go back to some of those more of like abduction type experiences. But like there's likely something there, and maybe the human fear is maybe what's masking the truth behind the interaction. I think pay
Ooh.
attention to how you feel. Just ask them questions. I think I think fear is greatly being misused as discernment because
Yes.
the two of us, the amount of comments the two of us receive online from people telling us to use discernment of what we channel, I'm like, that's your fear speaking. Like, I don't need a random person on the internet warning me about my own spiritual work. So like fear is not the same as discernment.
Th- Double tap on that, actually. That is just like a life thing to know, guys.
My
Well,
comment is always, I'm good, bro, but are you? Like,
That's so epic. I love that so much. Final question. This is a question I ask everyone on the podcast. So, if people were to really know you, what would they need to know about you?
Oh, I love that. I would say I'm funny as hell. I feel like people don't always see that online. I know like we do funny videos and things, but like clients see it more. But like we're really, really funny. We have a shit ton of pop culture references and how we channel information. Um, I would
Like,
say we are not afraid to, or at least I should say I'm not afraid to just dive into things and I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. Like,
yeah, I think like we're gonna give it to you straight. We're gonna try to deliver it in the best way possible. Obviously, we're not gonna be, tearing you up. But we really, I think, like our work really lies at the intersection of heart and humor. Like we can go into the trenches of the heartbreak with you, and we can help you unpack programming and trauma and experiences. But at the same time, like we're gonna be lighthearted and we're gonna have fun with it, and we're gonna find ways to play with it so that it can feel like you are a character in a movie and not, and not take things too seriously because you're a creator here.
Yeah, amazing. Oh,
And there
weird.
will be a lot of profanity as well. Yes.
We love that. Well, when I hopped on, I was like, "Oh, I immediately feel the humor." I was like, "Thank God, this is great."
I love it.
Well, thank you. So how can people actually connect with you?
So you can connect with us on YouTube at Twin Essence LLC. Otherwise, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Again, at Twin Essence LLC. YouTube, we have a lot of videos out there. So disclosure calls. Our podcast is on there. We have some amazing Between Dimensions interviews where we bring on different new Earth leaders talking about different modalities and experiences they've had on their journeys. And we have a podcast called The Ascension Path with Twin Essence, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. And we channel all different types of star beings and talk about different ancient civilizations on there. So it's a really great place to start exploring the energy of star beings and seeing like what resonates with you when we're bringing through different beings.
I love that.
And
And
then we have, oh,
I was gonna say, how can people work with you?
yeah, that's where I was going to go next.
Oh, that's what I figured. Okay.
Um, we have the Starseed Portal membership, which is a membership space, private space for women that are exploring their Starseed lineages, as well as their mission and purpose and Ascension. It's where we have all of our non-public conversations about Ascension. But you have a private community there in WhatsApp to receive Starseed transmissions and engage with the women in that space, as well as bi-monthly live calls for live Starseed transmissions, as well as Ascension guidance and channeled teachings. And then if you are very, very new and you're like, I don't even know where to start with the Starseed thing, but I'm interested, this is where we recommend a twin magic reading with the two of us. And this is the private session where you have the two of us, you enter into what we call our cosmic portal.
I love it.
Because we are amplifiers, and we open that space and bring through your star family. So we connect you to your starseed lineage as well as your mission and purpose. And then whatever alignment pieces they bring through for your current incarnation and what you're going through right now. And we do have a very, very special offer as well for those that are listening. We have 5 spaces available at 50% off using code Sasha50 for a twin magic reading. So you get that reading for 50% off.
50% off, folks. Do it. I'm so excited for my reading on Thursday. It's gonna be epic. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was so lovely.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. Yes, thanks for having us. This was so fun.
Absolutely.